This should be for Eloi Nishmata. So I sent you a page right now against, against judgment. Did you see it the past hour or two? I sent it, hour and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, it's you can tell what it is because it's very hard to read. But I was thinking about Shir in that I was going to concentrate. We were going to concentrate on Beis Yosef. And I was making notes to myself, and two things were coming up to me. First is the range of connections of different halachic ideas that come to form a psak in these areas. And second of all, like how he operates, how the Beis Yosef operates. So, and I wrote different things, and then at the top, I kind of, to myself, I was writing I'm interested in the Beis Yosef's mind. And I wrote Machlokas is for kids. Well, really, I wrote Machlokas is for sissies, but Hachra, making a decision, is for adults. A lot of talk all the time now. Valorizing Machlokas. I made up the Sisma, Machloket matters, but I can't listen to it anymore. Because usually we talk about it in that sense, it means you have your idea, I have my idea, we don't have to come to any agreement. But the poskim have to come to decisions. And people have to pick their posek on the basis of how they feel, how their decisions are being made. So hachra, making decisions, is and I'm interested. That's the one thing. So that's in the Beis Yosef mind. But with that, as I said, different concepts here. So all sorts of concepts. How are they? And I'm interested. I hope that you'll provide the answers. I'm just saying I'm interested in how they're hatched, they're matched, how sometimes they're dispatched, certain halachas, like they just seem to go away. Why are they here at all? What functions do they have? You get the questions. So first I started writing the notes to myself about some of the concepts that exist we talk about heat. Maybe I have a better teacher is asking what are different concepts of heat. And by the way, tell me if I'm missing any, because we have Sonin, Cham, Yad Soletipo, Yad Nichvitz. What's the relationship between the two of those? We have the boiling. We have Hadacha. Now I guess what I'm talking about is the reaction to heat. So that's next line is reaction to heat. Hadacha, Klipa, Kedei Natila, Oser Hakol. That's the impact. Yeah, I wrote it down there. That's the impact. Different kinds of heat, different kinds of impact. I didn't say in terms of heat. Or what happens with that? That's the whole history. Directions of the heat. I think basically it's top to bottom, but there's also bottom to top. So you could have written that too. Go both ways. Then I'm now talking back to Hachra. Sorry, I wrote this in here. Because the concepts are derived from Chilukim. And the Chilukim are usually Terutzim to Stirot. And then to Stirot, you have a teretz, but the teretz become a Chiluk. And the Chiluk becomes a concept. Sometimes you just have a Beirur. People taking a step back and saying, let's figure out what this is really about. That usually doesn't come with the Beirur. Talking about a multi-layered, layered's the right way, a the pointless, and a lot of connections on the points, halachic field, and contradictions are prized because they could come up with good terutzim, which makes for a more intricate halachic system. It's intricate, or now I'll say a better word, a more nuanced or more responsive halachic system. If you look up Hachra in the philosophic dictionary, Hebrew philosophic dictionary, it means you win the full thing. You go to battle on ideas and you win the full ideas. But Hachra is making a decision. I think the way halacha often operates is that we want to encompass as many ideas, not because we're nice, tolerant people. We want to encompass as many ideas because it's interesting. On individual case, he says to do a hachra, there's many concepts that will be significant for us to understand and help our understanding. It's a goal. So it's not just a terror. Sometimes, right? You'll see in the Beis Yosef, I don't think in these ones, they'll say, well, that was just a teretz. But that's not a compliment. That's just a teretz. Everything else, and then we make a chiluk, then it becomes important. The different ideas are different concepts. Of course, we have the status. We have Isur, we have Heter, we have Deraisa Drabanan, we have Deraisa Beli Malkos that comes up in our conversations. I became interested in the materials that we're dealing with. You have Gedi Shaman, Gedi Kachush, obviously. I must be missing something. So I can't say more about the solids, but then of course with the liquids you have Mayim, Shecha, Tzir, and there's other liquids. Time becomes a major different forms of time. 3 days, 1 day, Kedei Reticha, that's the time deal. Siman Maruba, what the heck does that mean? Immediate, not sure how we say immediate there. Miyad, late. So we have, you get what I'm saying. Then you have to decipher how they play out. Authority, Deraisa, how come we don't have the Rabbanan here? Minhag, I should have Rabbanan here somewhere. Yesh Machrin, there's those who go, Yesh Hochim Kula. There's Ein Lahachmir, there's Yesh Machmir, Ein Lahachmir. There's Hasat Chak. What's the relationship between Ein Lahachmir and Yesh Machmirim? It's not just on and off. I think there's a relationship there. Then I was thinking about authorities. Clearly the Gemara. Clearly Rishonim. Poskim, by poskim, I mean the poskim of his general age. Let's say a further breakdown. His Amudim, as you know. Rif, Rush, Rambam. Anybody want to give me a reason why those three? I actually am asking. Why would you pick those three? Yes, Rabbi. I can't hear you.
Maybe because they removed things. They did hachra.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. They're doing hachra. This is good. I should have thought of that myself. Okay. Now, in a moment, I'll tell you what I think, but I want to hear anybody else. What does the Rit give you? Yeah, you're making a decision. What's the Rit giving you? Yeah, Joel, what do you think?
He's still giving you the sugya to some extent. You're still getting the Gemara.
He's giving you, right, what's it called? Executive summary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. If that's the case, what does the Rush give you?
The Rosh gives you more analysis, right? Like the Riff gives it some analysis, like occasionally he puts in his own thoughts, but sometimes he really just gives
Right.
you the Sugya, gives the material he thinks is relevant, whereas the Rosh is giving more of his own independent analysis.
And when you see the independent analysis of the Riff, you go, because you're not ready for that, right? And the Rush is giving you the analysis. But he's not only giving you his analysis, what other analysis is he giving you? Who else is?
Well,
What school is he from?
you give me the
What?
Tosfot, it's essentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing, you get all the Balei Tosos. Why break your head? You know, no, but then what he does is clear. The Rambam, well, you can't ignore the Rambam. But it's also, as Rabbi Danzig said, it's, you know, you get a really good hachra there. But I think he also is like, it flows. I say it that way, it flows. Who doesn't he give you? Who's not a Zamud? Yeah.
I mean,
Joel.
you've lost first poskim that are only in Ashkenaz and later in Provence, and also the Spanish, right? With the Rashba, the
I'm
Ramban.
talking about which mood does he not have?
The Ramban.
Okay. It's a lot of Amud, but you
Yeah.
picked the Ramban. How much more that's in front of your face?
But
The Torah?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what's the Torah? I'll get to Torah in a moment. Background, Rishonim, I'm going to say, he's a Rishon, or he feels himself as a Rishon. No need to bow his head. He's a Rishon. I'll get to some of the others in a moment. Who sets the agenda? Now I'm getting to the Torah. The Torah sets the agenda. And sometimes he does what? Sometimes he agrees with the Torah. And sometimes he, but the Torah is not his amud. Torah just wrote the book in a really good way. That's how I see it. Crucial, but on the back burner, when he talks about poskim. I might go into individual, but then he has like the poskim, the gedolim. I'm sorry, interrupting because I wrote a note to myself. I was 17 before I went to Israel to learn. I was able to sneak into Rabbi Aaron Salvechik's shiur in summer at Beis Medrash Torah in Chicago, Hebrew Theological College. And once in shiur, all of a sudden he announces, Rashi is a Rishon. And it hit all of us. So everything hit me because I was 17. But it hit, like the older guys. Like, what is he meaning? What do you have to say, Lexi?
Well, I was gonna say like yes and no, right? Like we do generally treat like Rashi and the Rif as like the first of the Rishonim, but I think part of why it's harder, like obviously there's various reasons it's harder to relate to Rashi, um, in the same way we do to a lot of others. I think part of it is because he's become so fundamental to people's understanding of the Gemara that it's often hard for people to like take him outside of the Gemara and see him as like an independent Perush and Shita, but also because there were so few who had really done anything comparable up until him, because there was so much less work of that genre for him to engage with. A lot of the way that we sort of end up identifying Rishonim is also by the way that they interact with and understand other Rishonim. And Rashi, we don't get to really see much of that in him. Like occasionally he'll quote a teacher, but like
Right.
for the most part, it's just him, right? He doesn't really have so many other
teacher with some
foundational work.
some little grammar principle, like who cares?
Yeah.
But no, I think it's good what you said. And I think what Rabbi Aaron was saying, that's a wonderful person. What he was saying, that's that we always look up to him in terms of a parish of the Gemara. But sometimes we gotta look, in terms of shita of what he's saying. And I want to say that's actually how the Beis Yosef looks at him. He looks at him as a Rishon. He's got his own shita here, and he picks out where Rashi paskins. In other words, he doesn't tell you, oh, by the way, let me tell you how Rashi does the narrative of the Gemara, how Rashi fixes it or understands it. He doesn't do that, really. What he says is, he picks out that Deah. That's what he does, basically. So Rashi, in a sense, he's raised up because now he's a Rishon, so to speak. And the other hand, he's just another Rishon. And Rashi doesn't play that. What about the Tosos? Well, he has the Rush. By the way, by doing the rush, he doesn't have to do the tour. Because you go to the father. But in our section here, the master teacher and explainer is the Rashba. You could actually even, if I said to you, oh, he had 3 Amudim and one of them is the Rashba, based on what we've learned, what we're learning here, we'd say, yeah. But he's like just a master teacher here. You find a lot of other places. I think he picks up certain people. Why Rashba? Rashba was really good, and he really explains. It really goes into the halachic analysis. Okay. Another thing that falls in here, at least in one place, the issue of social reality. Turning about what is cooking? Social reality. Cheryl said to me before Shir, how you give Shir in this? You don't know how to boil an egg. You don't know anything in the kitchen. You're a good sous chef. I'm a very good sous chef. That's it. What's the social reality of how people cook? Okay, there's halacha, maisa, yesh machmir. I did get to something that I said already. And in terms of hachra, what about himself? Encyclopedic knowledge. He analyzes all possibilities. He gives them their due. He sets them up pretty well. That's what I wrote here. He doesn't rely on tradition per se that often. He has independent thoughts, and he demands it. We'll see it a number of times, and even in the small sections that we're doing here. And independent thought, logic should determine who decides. The Beis Yosef decide. I mean, that's wow, what a guy. What a guy. Okay. Why could he do this? Because he's the Beis Yosef. Okay, so I am using I'm not using the tour that you have in front of you. I got some old-fashioned tour in front of me today. That's just the way it is. So I can't give you the pages. But let's go straight now. By the way, did I miss anything on these things? Was a better teacher or asked you? You were hit by anything else? What about any sort of other variables? Maybe I should put down as variables. There's the heat variables. Yeah, what do you have, Joel?
Did you mention? I don't think you mentioned kalim, Rav. Right, the kalim is going to be a big question. What kind of is metal different than?
So that's a material thing. I should have put that there. Receptacles, kalim. Right. Okay. Very good. Okay. Thank you for that. That makes a difference. So now you tell me, what are the kalim? Range of kalim.
It's material. We've got kli cheres, we've got kli eitz, we've got kli matechet, and if you look at the Pri Megadim, brings up glass. I don't remember if anybody else does, but it brings up.
Right. Okay.
I actually think you didn't mention Kli Rishon and Kli Sheni.
Oh, I thought he did say it, but
Oh, I might have missed it.
I said it.
Oh, you said it. Okay, sorry.
But I wasn't thinking it. I just said it. But okay. Okay, great. He doesn't mention Pyrex either, but that's a whole machlokas. That's a different machlokas. Okay, so now we spend time on this. So now let's go to Kufay. Let's read a little bit Torah, and then let's go into the Beis Yosef. So let's see here. Noam, read for me. For us, beginning of Kufay, then you go immediately into the Beis Yosef.
Sure.
And by the way, as we do it, I want someone to tell me what's the topic that's being discussed. It should be Pashut, but not necessarily Pashut for me. But what's the topic being discussed? So go again.
כל הדין שנוהג באיסור שמתערב בהתר על ידי בישול, כך דינו אם נכבש בתוכו יום שלם מעת לעת, וכבוש דינו כמבושל. So everything.
Do one more line.
Okay, אבל פחות מיום, כיוון שהוא צונן סגי בהדחה בעלמא.
Okay, good.
So everything we've said so far about a tarovet in terms of bishul also applies to fermentation or pickling, so long as there's something rests in the liquid for me'et la'et for more than 24 hours, because we have a principle, kivush dino kemavushal, like pickling or fermentation is like cooking. But if it's any less than that, because it's just cold, then just mere rinsing will suffice.
Okay, so now let's go to the Torah. And again, there must be a shout out here. If anything that I said, which I guess gave a tremendous list, all of a sudden we see it, especially making a new chiluk, or especially taking care of a material, or take something that we wouldn't necessarily know. There's like a bingo card here. Just press it, or just shout it out. Don't ask for permission, just shout it out. Okay, go ahead.
The Beit Yosef now, right?
Right.
Okay. כל הדין שנוהג באיסור שנתערב בהתר על ידי בישול, כך דינו אם נכבש בתוך יום שלם וכולי, בפרק גידה נשה ובכמה דופתי
And that's
מליח.
important, because what is not just a occasional, it's a Shas idea, as you would say. It's a Shas concept. And what is that?
Maliach harehu karoteach.
Right, what's that first word you use?
Maliach.
Okay, good. Okay, I didn't hear it. Harehu
So
karoteach.
salting is like boiling, and kivush harehu kimavushal, pickling or fermentation is like cooking.
Right.
Uve perak batra.
Bet. Yeah, I'm going to say it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you. Uve perek bet devodah zara gabe achbara b'shichra katava rosh tema dahai shichra v'chala tzonenhem lamanes true bin nefilat ha'achbar. So in the last perek of avodah zara, the Rosh asks about the mouse in the beer and the vinegar, but they're cold. So why should there be any issur that comes from the mouse? The Yesh Lomar
Max, make sure he does this right. Okay, the Yesh Lomar.
Oh no. Okay. Max. Okay. Yeah. The Yesh Lomar sheshaha bozman merubeh v'havele kimin kivush v'niflat tam o b'shechar u'v'chometz. And the answer is because it's been there for some considerable amount of time, and therefore it's like pickling. And so the flavor is released into the beer or into the vinegar. Velo pirshu atosfot kama yamod bechometz uveshechar denechash ve kivush kemevushal. And the Tosfot don't explain.
Stop. Right. So you got that. You said it. We don't know how much time, but we know it's Zaman Merubah, right? So here we've got to start making chilukim or whatever. No, it's not a chiluk per se, but we have to, it has to be nailed down. This is what his job is. So he wants to nail it down. Next word's an important word.
Vishamati.
Okay, so right? He's heard stuff. Okay, B'Shem.
Okay, B'Shem Ritzpah.
Who was the Ritzpah, by the way?
He's the student of the Ri Hazaken. He's the Ri Abachor, the younger Ri.
Right.
He's a Tosfot.
Right.
Veshamati b'shem ritzpah de'im shaha b'tocho yom shalem me'et la'et nikra kivush uvalea ufolet kimevushal. So, okay, the ritzpah says me'et la'et, so yom shalem, 24 hours, right? Verayah midamrinan bechulin basar bechalav chidushu. And the proof comes from chulin, where we say meat and dairy is a chiddush. Ve'i tarule kolayama bechala share. Ve'i bashile asur. Because it says that if you steep meat in dairy for an entire day, then the meat would be permitted once
Okay,
removed from the
so
dairy.
I'm sorry, did you finish what you were saying? Or did I interrupt you?
No, the last thing I was just going to say, and if you cook it, it's aser. So that's the middle of the sugya from Chulin, yeah.
Well, normally I would say to you, Basar v'chalav, chidushu, Ori, what would you say that means? Straight off the bat, somebody comes up and asks you that.
It means it's a
The
unique,
classic meaning. As a word.
classically, it's a unique law, so it has its parameters are not the same as other Isurim.
Why
And
is it
basically, it's only
unique?
usher from cooking. It only becomes
Why is
usher
it?
from the
So you
cooking.
just said a couple of good parts, but the one part you left out is what its real unique element.
There's two heteros that come
Two
together.
shnei
Make is-
heterim.
Yeah,
Shnei heterim.
right.
So the chetza itself, just use that language. I said Rabbi Aaron, the chetza itself is shnei heterim. There's no chetza like that. There's a second isur, and that's the isur of, but basar b'chalav that no one else has.
Hana?
That's the third.
I'm trying to think if anybody else has that.
Oh, bishul.
Yeah, specifically Yasser.
Okay, the second would be bishul. So the very pe'ula. You have the chetza, you have the pe'ula. The chetza is that it's shnei heterim. The pe'ula is that you're not allowed to do it. You can cook pig, right? But you can't cook basar b'chalav. It's your roommate's basar b'chalav, and you're not going to eat it. You still can't cook it. He's sick in bed with a cold. You still can't cook it. The third that you brought, Ori, is ein lomod mimena. In terms of limud, it's paradigmatic. It's sui generis. We don't learn from that in the positive sense of learning, because they learn here from it, but they don't learn from it in terms to follow it, and that it's a paradigm. They use learning from here. So in terms of limud, we have chetza, we have pula, we have limud. And what's this last one that's here that you were saying? The one that's here. I don't know. I should know. Yes, Noam. So what's how they use it here?
It's unique in that even if you steep it for a full day, it's permitted, whereas other isurim would be forbidden under those circumstances, even if all cold.
So how do we?
They're learning kibush from it by excluding it.
You learn the chiddush by excluding.
No, kibush, like
Whereas
they're
normally,
learning.
we
There's
do
no pickle.
say kibush is bishul after one day, but by basar v'chalav, it requires fire, requires heat with fire. Cooking with fire. Kibush is not enough.
Because somebody had said that before, right? Is bishul only, and that the notion of kavush doesn't exist. Is that what they're saying here? Though you're right. This is that's true as a difference, the anti-paradigm, so to speak, sui generis, right? But is that what they're saying here? You kind of said it. I think it just said is that there's no such thing as this whole no. You can't, there's no such thing as me'et la'et with basar b'chalav. Once basar b'chalav finds its isur status, let me try to say it right, finds its isur status, which is kavush. But once it finds its isur status, how long does it take to be asur? Josie, you had your hand up. How long does it take cooking basar b'chalav that you're over the isur of basar b'chalav?
It's I would think it's immediate as soon as you get it
It's
to a cooking
immediate.
temperature.
And
It's
that's
right
what
away.
how it's used, and that's how we're using it here. Basar b'chalav is chiddush. By basar b'chalav, it's immediate. But by kavush, it's a different set. Is that what? I think that's what it is. I think that's what's here. So let's go back to that. Where did we leave off? So basar chodesh, right, is a chiddush, right? And if you stuck the in terms of time, so it's just not the way you stuck the basar cholav in a whatchamacallit, in a pot together cold for a day, nothing happens. But in this case, I mean, now they ask the question, so we'll get it right. No, come with umah chidusha.
Uma chidushu kol yisurim shabatorah nami dinam kach tetzonen betzonen lo mitzar velo bala ella vadai zeu chidusho techol yisurim shabatorah afal gav tetzonen betzonen lo bala im sherao yom shalem ne'esru mitam kivush ubebasar bechalav chidushu deino nesar ella derech bishul.
Right.
So,
Well, you kind of go ahead, explain it.
well, it's kind of like we just said. Basar
Right.
v'chalav actually needs bishul, but other things, even if they're cold, if they're left together for long enough, for more than one day, then it's as if they were cooked.
Okay. So he connects the bishul, of course, but here is still a zaman. The chiddush is that there's a zaman by kavush, while there's no zaman, so to speak, or it's immediate, as we were just told. It's immediate, and that's its chiddush. So that's as close as he's gotten right now to figuring out something about zaman meruba. Okay, read further.
So ad kan leshana, so that's the
Right,
end of
v'kach
the.
kosav.
וכך כתב גם כן בפרק אין מעמידין. והמרדכי כתב שם בשם רבנו תם, דבשעה 3 ימים הווה ככיבוש. So here, the opinion of the Mordechai in the name of Rabbeinu Tam is 3 days, not just 1 day. Vehevi raya miperek elu ovrin, וכך כתב בפרק ב' דביצה, וזה לשונו. נראה דכיבוש מקרה ששהה כבר 3 ימים בדבר לך, ואז הווה כמבושל ופולט טעם וקולט טעם. So, okay, so he says it's 3 days, and here's his proof. Kedam rinan be'avodah zara, kankanim shel nochrim, memele'am 3 yamim, u'me'aran me'et le'et. So the jugs of non-Jews, one fills them for 3 days and pours them out
Day by day.
day by day.
I know.
You have
just
the
said it, right? I'm sorry, you just said that, right?
I have kepoto kach below.
Right. Okay, good.
Ukepoto.
In other words, because that tells us about being polite. But we have a cloud that now is induced. Bolo capoto are opposite functions, but I have the same form. And if the plita is 3 days, then belia is 3 days. So 3 days to get rid of it, but they're by indication that the two are considered sister and brother, siblings of concepts. Then the belia is also 3 days. What do you think of this proof that he has? Rabbi Tanzik, why are you kind of shaking your head?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like as good a proof as the previous one because Gimel. This is just enough. It takes 3 days to really pull out all of the treifa from the vessel, but that doesn't prove that it also takes 3 days to cook. Maybe cooking happens faster. I don't
Well,
see it necessarily.
so that's why, that's one of the things that he uses, right? He uses a cloud. He uses his cloud, and this is therefore you say, Kepolto kachbolo. They are the same. That's how he uses the cloud. I'm saying that's how he's functioning.
Right. No,
Thank
he
you for
made up.
saying that.
He reversed the cloud and made up a new expression.
Kabolo kachbolo.
I think he switched it around. Don't we normally say the other way?
He's not a Karaite. He understands it to mean that they're the same thing. So I think.
Yeah, but right. Okay, fine.
So no, but it takes that cloud, and he has to adjust that cloud. We're talking about how he operates. You have to adjust that. It was this Mordechai here. You have to adjust the cloud to this particular situation. But I think the adjustment is not a hard adjustment. What do you have, Joel?
Well,
It is, but I have a question about whether or not that cloud is about amount of time or method, right? Because usually we use it as a method, right? If you cook it, if it absorbs flavor through boiling, it releases flavor through boiling. If it absorbs flavor through fire, it releases through fire. So you could say if it absorbs through cold, it releases through cold, but the cloud doesn't tell you how much time it takes necessarily. It just tells you the method of releasing.
Yeah, the Torah tells us how much time.
Fair. Well, the Torah tells 3 days, but I don't think.
Does the Torah count? Really?
Yeah, it does. But
in your halachic world, yeah.
Yeah, no, of course it does, but it doesn't. It's not clear that the Torah says that kebel or kachpolto means the same amount of time is required in both directions. It just
Yeah, you and Danzig, but here, this is what he's doing.
Yeah,
I agree. I understand what you guys are saying. That's what's great. That's why I gave that whole Hakdama. He's in order to figure out how to do this, right? The poskim are applying klolim and make them more alive and more flexible. You went to Hebrew college? It's flexible halacha, okay? But it's based on something, okay? No, it's alive. It's alive. This is good. It's very good what you said. Thank you. You became my fall guy for that. Okay. What do you think? No, you think you're finished and you're not.
wait, hang on. I got a question.
Yeah, go
To
ahead.
be, maybe I just want my pork pickles. But in the case where we're koshering these vessels with the water, we're pouring out the water every 24 hours, which says to me that somehow the water has absorbed all the ta'am that it can in that period, and then we need to get more stuff to absorb it, right? It's like if you're soaking up water. Okay, so if that's the case, then why don't we need to like replace the pickling liquid or the treif in this this situation of kivush?
All right.
24 hours before, if we're going with 3 days. If we're going with 24 hours, then I'm with you. But if we're going with 3 days, then I'm like, no. Unless we adjust our methodology.
Okay, well, I would say you got a point. Okay, no, you have a point, obviously. And that's why there's going to be another opinion, right? But I think you got pretty far with this one. That's the, and you're bringing up a good, you're actually giving a more medaic version of the problem than was said before with the problem of of using this under the cloud. I mean, you brought up the problem. But meanwhile, he's saying kabolo kachbolto, kapolto kachbolo. Okay, we know there's 3 days. The Torah tells us that it must work the opposite way. The ma'ara, I can't say anything. But it's hard because what would you do? You'd add more pickle juice into it or something. I mean, what would you?
Something like that. I mean,
Yeah, no,
like
so that's hard. That's not.
It's not the sort of thing you would do
Good.
by accident,
Good.
right? Like it's
Good.
Which makes it a practical issue.
Okay, well,
unless you're living in a situation where this is actually something that people do to food that you need to be wary of.
Well, okay, so thank you for canceling that objection. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I mean, maybe there's Greenland shark. I don't know.
The kach. Okay, wait a second. So no, I'm continuing. Kach Perish. Is that where you are? Kach Perish Rabbi? Where are we now?
Unless, did I get confused?
Tell me where you're reading. Just tell me. Just read.
Uh,
Okay,
Does
Hilkach.
that
Maybe you know it's
Kamar?
Hilkach.
I think I think
Oh no,
Noah's having
okay.
internet issues.
Machus, oh, sorry.
Oh, Hilkach. Here.
Gimel Yomi.
Oh,
Okay, good. Right, right.
the,
Asur b'yenam. Right, there you go. You got it, right. I went further ahead. I'm sorry.
I think you start from
Okay.
V'hainu de Amr Avodah Zarah. I think that's where we should start from.
V'hainu de Kamar be'avodah zara kol shemachniso. Is my internet unstable? V'hainu de Kamar be'avodah zara kol shemachniso lekiyum shlosha yamim asur be'yenam af al pi she'utzonen umachniso lekiyum shlosha yamim. Kamar.
What's the important word there that he adds to our discussion?
Lekiyum?
Yeah, that's the word. Because in that, that's right. So you are, you, now I need help on this. So the kiyum, who's doing a kiyum here? Machniso a kiyum gimel yomim kamar. Actually, the proof he's saying, right? Help me out, or I'll say it, then still help me out. That it says, who the hichniso? Who's the hichniso? The guy, right? The Midianite, right? And he put it in the Kankan for 3 days. What purpose? L'kiyum gimel yamim. So that during the gimel yamim, there'll be a kiyum. Hilkach, kol davar isur halach, sheshaha b'chli heter, gimel yamim, asur. That's the end of his proof. They put it there for, it's not, the Kabbalah Kach Bozo, according to this reading, was already there, not just when the koshering took 3 days, but hachnosa of the wine took 3 days. He's reading Kabbalah Kach Bozo, Kabbalah Kach Bozo. He's reading them as the same thing, that it started not when Bnei Yisrael needed to kosher the vessels, but it started beforehand that they put wine in those vessels for 3 days. And since they put wine in those vessels for 3 days, in order for the wine to have a kiyum, to get rid of the kiyum, this answers you, Isaac, I think. In order to get rid of the kiyum, you need 3 days. And that's the proof here. Kolber Yisur, hello. Oh, sorry. So right, yeah. Okay. Gabal kachbo. Ma poto gim yamim abbolo gimel yamim. V'hainu, right? V'hainu what? V'hainu.
Yeah, v'hainu de kamar be'avodah zara kol shemachniso lekiyum shlosha yamim asur be'yenam af al pi she'utzonen umachniso lekiyum shlosha yamim. אף על פי שהוא סונן, ומכניסו לקיום 3 ימים כאמר. הילקח, כל דבר איסור הלך ששכה בכלי התר 3 ימים אסור, וכך פירושו רביה. אמנם,
Rabbi Meir,
רבי
Rashi's son-in-law.
מאיר פירש בשם ריבה, דבשריעת יום ולילה.
Riva is chavruta. Was Bishans. Okay, anyway. The Bishayeret, I'm sorry, the Shariat. Sorry, Bishariat.
דבשריעת יום ולילה חשוב כיבוש כמבושל. So, okay, that's the same position as the Ritzpah, right?
Right.
V'raya mehadam rinan basar bechalav chidushu. So it's from the same sugya in Chulin about basar and chalav being a chidush. De'yu taru le kule yoma bechalva v'chule.
How do you get down to 1 day?
Same as what the Ritzpah said about basar v'chalav. It's a chidush davka because even when they're steeped together for 1 day, they're still permitted. But that tells us in all other isurim that just 1 day, when they're steeped together and they're cold, they become forbidden after 1 day. If that makes sense.
Okay, I think that's a good way of explaining it. Anyone want to add to that? But we've gotten down here is from 3 days to 1 day, and then the 1 day, the 3 days is kind of forgotten. However, these things have a way in halacha to kind of creep back in various discussions. So 3 days have been eliminated, but not necessarily. In fact, just even the way he said it, he just says, well, that's what we do. That's how it's. Because of a Mordechai, go ahead.
You want me to continue? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Tava Mordechai od sham bechol makom piresh Rashi kivush bechometz aval belo chometz enu kemevushal. Ve'i efshar lomar ken. So okay,
Wait, before the Yifshah.
the Mordechai says that Rashi says that pickling or fermentation, it happens in vinegar, but if it's not vinegar, then we don't have that principle of kivush harehu kemevushal.
So how's the conversation changed?
Instead of talking about time, we're now
Not just time. We talked about how do we talk about these things beforehand? Yayin and not yayin, the chometz and shecher. How did we talk about it? Or tzir? We talked about it in terms of being a liquid, and as he said, time. But we haven't mentioned now the acidic properties of these elements. If we had stopped it up to this point, we would say, okay, just talking about liquids, and they gave examples of liquid. But here we see that it has to be a liquid that has that kind of pickle juice power to it or whatever. It has that brining factor, acidic factor. Okay. Therefore, right, now the Efshar, who's speaking now?
I think it's the Mordechai disagreeing with Rashi, but correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it's the Mordechai.
Okay.
The Efshar.
Ve'i efshar lomar ken tetanan perek shvi'i de shvi'it vered yashen shekavasho b'shemen chadash chayav bebi'ur alma below chometzuno ten tam gemevushal ad kan lashono. Yeah, so okay, so it seems like Rashi's assumption that pickling only takes place in vinegar is false because we have a Mishnah from Shvi'it that talks about an old rose that's been preserved in oil, not just vinegar,
Right.
in new oil,
Right.
and you need to remove that rose, meaning like I think they're like no roses are no longer growing in the field, so you need to now return this
So
rose to the public property.
Truman Meiser wasn't given or whatever. There's, it's one of these surim of Shvis was chal on the rose, and now you have to take it out. You got to take it out, but it's al kan lashana, right? Sorry, it's what's he say again? I'm sorry, I just lost my place. Alexander Shviz, very yashon shekov shao the shemen. So he just needs a liquid, a good liquid that can do kavisha, and just as you said, you don't need the acidic properties that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Alma below chometz uno ten tam gemevushal ad kan lashono. So the Mordechai ends by saying, therefore, you don't need vinegar. for the sake of netinat tam kemevushal.
Now, the Eini Yodea, who's speaking now?
The next words I have are vizeh shelo kedivrei hagaot maimoniot.
Wait, maybe I don't have it. Sorry. What was my place?
He's like a sentence or two up.
I got it. Go ahead.
Two more lines.
Vizeshalo, sorry, I got the
Yeah,
small book.
vizeh shelo kedivrei hagaot maimoniot shekatvu beperek tetvav b'shem harosh. Dechi amrinan kivush hareu kemevushal hane mile bekivush bechometz vitzir kede piresh Rashi ad kan. Okay, so it sounds like Haga Maimoniot also basically agree with Rashi insofar as Rashi said chometz. Haga Maimoniot are saying chometz and tzir, but it sounds like they're
You
both
need two things. You need
narrowing.
the acidic liquid, and you need
Tzir is like brine, I guess.
yeah, you need Yom Shalim. No, but it's just like two categories of things you need. You need the time, and you need the proper material. Not any old liquid. You need the acidic liquid.
Well, it seems to be that you need either or.
I don't know. No, it seems to me. Oh, because of the rose, because it doesn't get rid of the rose.
Rav Lexi, where do you see they need either or? Like I would see that Rashi's saying we know that it's a long period and it only works in chometz.
I'll return to it.
Fair
Continue.
enough.
Be'eni Yodea. That's a good place to go to. Be'eni
Yeah,
Yodea.
now you're getting an amazing chiddush of the now's the base Yosef talking, and he's going to say an amazing point that
Right. Well, see what he
were
says.
asleep.
Be'eni Yodea.
ואיני יודע האח אפשר שהראש, כך כתב, no, שהראש, כך כתב.
Katav Kane.
כתב כן, thank you. כתב כן, שהרי הביא ראיה לומר דכיבוש הרי הוא כמבושל בשהיית יום מבשר בחלב, הטעם אף על גב דלא הווה חומץ וציר הווה מצר אליו דחידוש. So the Beit Yosef is saying, how could that be possible? Because
Yeah, no, your internet is not great.
that's
Wait, no, you got to improve your.
Do you hear me?
Okay. Shuvas Arashba. No, we have to go to something else.
Wait, but did we summarize the point until then?
Now starts
Do you hear me?
Shuvas Arashba.
No, we gotta you gotta elucidate this point. We gotta discuss this point here. He's making a great point.
Yeah, like we proved that are saying that basar v'chalav was a chidush, and therefore there's no steeping. But if it weren't a chidush, then there would be kivush, and that's obviously not chometz. Did you hear
milk.
me?
Exactly. His chidush,
Right.
exactly. That's the point. It's milk. So you can't say it's only by vinegar. It's also, and if it's by milk, it could be by oil, it could be by water, it could be by lots of things.
Who by milk, who by water? It's a song from your guy from your city. What's his name?
Leonard Cohen.
Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
Who by milk, who by brine? So that's no. This is very good. So this but so the chiddush of having both requirements was just thrown out. And the fact not just both was thrown out, the whole notion, just repeating, right? The whole acidic things seems to be thrown out. Okay, keep on going. So you say
I'm enjoying reading, but I'm wondering if you just want to switch to someone with more stable internet.
You're stable enough for me.
Okay. At least my internet is okay. Uvechuvod harashba, ma she'amarta dechol she'ein lo kiuha. That's like, I think that's like an acidic or,
Right, summits, yeah.
yeah. Kodem, I'm skipping the
Yeah,
bracket.
yeah, Kodem
Okay.
Melicha, skip it.
קודם
Kodem Melicha.
מליחה שאין או בולע מן הדם, גם זה פשוט דלא אמרינן, אלא בדברים החריפים, כמלח וחומץ, וכיוצא באלו. So in the Chuvot Rashba, I think, if am I understanding that the Rashba is agreeing with Rashi and with
Yes,
Hagot Maimonia that it
I
needs to
think
be
so,
acidic, unlike the Rosh?
right?
That's right.
That's how I see it.
Yeah. Um, okay. וכדאמר שמואל מליח הרי הוא כרותח, כיבוש הרי הוא כמבושל. And
Well,
like a proof for the acidic position,
yeah,
like the Rashi and Haggadah Maimonides and the Rashba, is the language of Shmuel, which is maliach harei hu kerotech, kivush harei hu kemuvushal. It's almost like it's parallel, I think, the language, like maliach and kivush, like the salt might be what we're describing here as acidic, I guess. If I'm
keep on
understanding
going, keep on going. There, he gives
correctly. Okay.
another thing. Ukedita,
וכדאית נמי בבר יונה דנפל לקדה דקמחה. So, okay, this is, I think, like a bird that falls into a jug
it's a
of,
pigeon. There was
yeah,
just baked, it just was slightly roasted, so it's very tender. It's tender. That's it.
okay. And it fell into a jug of some Persian curdled milk.
Okay.
ו, וגרסינן בפרק in one of the prakim of Psachim, צונן לצונן לתוך צונן, דברי הכל מותר, ולא נתן שיעור כמה ישע זה בתוך זה, וזה פשוט עד כאן לשונו.
But what's pashut? That case also limits on shear, right?
Yeah, or I guess the length of time. I might be misunderstanding it. I'm not totally sure. I think it's the length of
Divrei
time.
hakol mutar v'lo natan shear kama yishaheh zeh b'toch zeh.
Yeah, so I thought maybe the shiur is pashut, but I could be wrong.
It's just like it's a stam case. One cold thing falls into something else cold. The time is irrelevant. There's no time transfer according to me.
It should be at that moment.
And it's not acidic, it's milk in that case.
For this case,
So
it's time
you
liquid.
don't need, so what are you guys saying? You don't need the acidic nature, but then sounds like you don't even need, well, what happens with when it falls into the kamcha? What's the psak when he falls in there? Nafal akada the kamcha. What's it, right? It's considered tzonen l'toch tzonen.
Mutar.
Mutar.
I thought Rosh was bringing this
But
as a proof.
what does it mean it's mutar? Joel, you were saying it.
I say that it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how long it was in there. It's a non-acidic liquid, so it's fine. It's a dacha.
Well,
The proof for
I'm
the
gonna
Rosh
take it different. I'm gonna take it a little differently. It could be that way. I'm taking it that it's not acidic. They don't give a time of shahiyah. And therefore what? They don't give a time for shahiyah. Well, the time to be mutter doesn't give a shir of shia, which I'm saying means that shia is actually important. If there was shahia, it could be usher. In other words, the way the story is told is that it's just dropped in there and then you take it out. It's not that it's staying in there. Because a lot of the time there's not shir. Keep on going. But Divrei Harush.
Wait, but could I just ask this? So
Yeah.
this example of the examples from Chulin and Psachim, are they proofs for the Rashba or are they proofs against the Rashba? I'm just not.
Okay, which proofs are we talking about?
It seems to me they're proofs against the Rashba. If I understood the Rashba correctly, that he's essentially agreeing with Rashi and Haggadah Maimonides that it needs to be acidic, but the Beit Yosef is saying no, it could be in any
No, that's,
liquid, as we
yes,
see
I
from the
believe it's
Rosh.
against, I think we're throwing out the
No.
acidic idea right here.
I
I thought
misunderstood.
he's saying we're throwing out the Hasidic idea because of this case of the Yonah. That was
Right.
mutter, and even though it didn't talk about a shear, it seems to be no matter how long it's in there, it's going to be mutter. And why? Because it's not chamutz.
Right. Oh, so you're saying it's a proof
Therefore, to
against
make
the
it
Rashba.
usher, wait, Nachum, to make it usher, it needs to be chamutz.
It needs to be chamutz to be. And in here we see that it's Yonah
So
fell
it's
in, and it
keeping
doesn't
the
say.
notion of chamutz.
So that's for the Rashba.
So it's
Yeah,
for the
chamutz is
Rashba.
required. Chamutz is
Chamutz is
required, this
required.
is saying.
It's a proof
Otherwise,
for
it's
the
mutter.
Rashba.
Oh, chamutz is
And
required.
shehiyah is not important because, as Nachum says, because it doesn't matter how long it's been in there or not. Shehiyah is only important for the acidic notion.
Right. This is mutter in all circumstances. Why? Because it didn't have the one requirement of being chamutz.
The Divrei HaRosh.
V'divrei Rosh HaKatav b'shem Ritzpa nireh le'aniyut da'ati dvarim shal tam ve'ikar v'kachem divrei Rabbeinu. So, okay, nonetheless, despite Rashi and Haggadah Maimonides and the Rashba, the Beit Yosef is casting his lots with the Rosh and the Ritzpa,
So how are they defining it?
which is
No,
also
no, no. Wait a
different.
second. When he says in the shame of the Ritzpah, that's the first thing that he said, which was regarding the time element. He's already taking care of the chometz element, and now he's going back to the time element and saying that's also like the Rosh, and that's 1 hour, and that's 1 day.
1 day.
Wait, but how? But he's saying it's not chometz bedavka, right? Like it's
Right.
other,
It's
like
not
period.
chometz, but it is a day, and not 3 days. So he's machmir on time and makel on liquid.
So now we still have a problem.
What? Wait, he's making
Go
on
ahead.
liquid.
Say it
He's
again.
is he making on liquid? I thought
Yeah,
the
only
makel-
chometz can make kavush.
Oh, he's saying only chometz. Okay.
But now the question is, well, we'll see what this does to time in the next 2 lines. Kavush, by Kavush Betzir, Kosav HaRosh.
Oh, you want me to continue?
Yeah, we're almost done. Kosav HaRosh.
Okay. Gavush betzir ketav harosh besof perik kafhe teshiro have keilu natno ala ork de sheyartiach v'yatchil lavashel im nichbash betoch hatzir kshiur ze nesar kol ma shebetoch hatzir. ובפחות משיעור זה לא נאסר אלא כדי קליפאה כדין מליח הרי היא כרותח עד כאן לשונו. So the Rosh said that the shear is like the amount of time it takes to put something on the fire so that it boils and begins to cook. And if you ferment for that amount of time, then it's forbidden everything that's in the brine.
Well, wait a second.
But, so how is time defined now? What's the definition of time?
It's in terms of an action.
In terms of, and what's the action?
Cooking something on a fire until it boils and begins to cook.
Which is a very short, it's not
a short
Zman
action.
Merubah. It's not
Yeah.
Zman Merubah.
But it's important to notice that we're talking about seer here,
I
not
know
chometz.
that. I know that.
We're now going on to a whole new topic.
He's saying he's not getting rid of seer. But he says, what is the psak in terms of seer?
Right.
Kavush by a regular liquid. We're saying here the argument's between 3 days and 1 day. Then the examples given were kavisha in regarding to seer and the rest. But kavisha and seer and the rest, the time element is totally different. The amount of time it takes to cook. If it was put on the ore, and you stick a piece of whatever, chicken, whatever it is, into the fire, cooks pretty fast. It's not a day or 3 days. Nothing to do like that. So therefore, the halacha of seer and all that is a totally different halacha. That's what he seems to accomplish right now. And then kavush and the rest, kavush therefore retains itself as being non-acidic. And our only question is it 3 days or 1 day? Who do we decide to go like? And he goes really on the 1 day so far. Let's finish it up.
ובפחות משיעור זה לא נאסר אלא כדי קליפה, כדין מליח הרי הוא כרותח עד כאן לשונו. So any less than that, then it would only be forbidden כדי קליפה. Like the principle of מליח הרי הוא כרותח. ומשם נלמוד לכבוש בחומץ, שעד שישהה כשיעור זה, אינו אוסר אלא כדי קליפה. And from there, we learn that pickling in chometz, in vinegar, and until that shiur is
And
also
that what shiur is that? The shiur of the or.
Yeah, exactly. Is only asur kedei klipa.
You have the or, which goes with the chometz. I'm sorry for repeating for myself. You have the or, you have the chometz or the tzir, which only goes with which has a time thing of based on or, because it's like reticha. It has that crackling moment or whatever. It works in that way. Everything else is either 3 days or 1 day. And he's saying 1 day. Katav Rashba.
כתב הרשב"א, כל הכבושים הרי הם כמבושלים, כלומר לעניין שטעם האיסור מתפשט בכולו כדרך שמתפשט בבישול, ואינו ניתר בנטילת מקום כצלי, וכך הם דברי רבנו. So the Rashba says that kivush hareu kemavushal. In other words, in the way that the flavor of the iser spreads in all of it, the same way that it spreads in the process of cooking, that fermentation and cooking both spread the iser in the same way. Ve'ino nitar benetilat makom kitzli, and it's not like roasting where you can just like easily remove the part that's been infected because there's been the spreading.
Right.
V'kacham divrei Rabbeinu, and that's how the Torah sees it, like the Rashba.
So what has he added here? By quoting the Rashba. Seems to me he's just added the reality fact. Whatever it takes to spread, that's what it does. And he goes with the 1 day is enough for it to spread. That makes it mavusha. And of course, it's not like sli. Sli is something else entirely. We'll get to sli. All right, let's take 5 minutes. So that's an interesting question about the not bodek. Interesting being bodek. So therefore, Bedika in general here is not taking place. That's my response to you, basically. They're not talking about Bedika at all. They're not talking about Bedika, different ways of trying. Although in a moment they'll refer to something about Bedika. No, but it's only theoretical Bedika. They don't do actual Bedika. They're saying about just the way things are. How do we do it? What do you got already?
Well, I wanted to ask a similar question about pickling when we were on kivush, and I think I understand the answer actually, but there's clearly very little concern with like people who are trying to pickle something. This conversation of like if you need chometz or not. I mean, it's a very when you talk about pickling, you need chometz or salt, or you're not pickling, right? Like if people who are intentionally pickling, there is a way to do it, and it's not just simply leaving something in water that wouldn't pickle it. So there's no checking of that reality either. Even the concept.
Well, the real answer is that I used the wrong word, pickling.
I think you.
But they really.
But kivush means preserving, doesn't it? It has a meaning.
The meaning here, I would say, is Belia and Plata.
Mm-hmm.
That's the meaning.
Right, but I wonder if the Rashba, who was sort of assuming you need that kiyuha, was thinking a little bit about conventional pickling also, or conventional preservation or flavoring.
So, okay,
In a
I'll
way,
go right now.
cooking has an
I made a
intention.
mistake about to translate. I'll go with Al Chaitz that I translated kavush as pickling. I think it's belia and plita. I think that's the definition. That's just a
Would you
response.
extend that to cook to bishul? Because I think then you would be answering Eitan's question. It's not bishul cooking the way we look at it, but it's flavor coming out in a way that we're not going to measure by looking at the meat, but rather by measuring time and heat. Similar to what you just said.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. I'll go with it for a while. Think it through, but thank you. Okay, what's Eitan continue?
Okay. אבל אחר שפסקו רתיחותיו, אין לו בישול, עטה לאושמינן דלתה. So that's part of, once you take it off the boiling, there's no bishul, and this comes to teach us that it's not cooking, I think. Ela afal pi shapasku retichotav ve'ino ala or kol zman shayad saledet bo hu mevashel. כמו שכתב התוספות פרק קירה, דכלי ראשון מתוך שעמד על האור דפנותיו, חמין ומחזיק חומו זמן מרובה, לפיכך כל זמן שהיד סולדת בו אסור. אבל כלי שני שאין דפנותיו חמין והולך ומתקרר, אף אגב דיד סולדת בו אינו מבשל עד כאן.
So he works it out similarly, but a little differently, right? But it's kind of like we said. If it's a Kli Rishon and the Yad Celesbo is a good indication. Well, the Kli Sheni is not a good indication of cooking. Because of the Kli Rishon, you have the warm walls, etc. Keep on going. Spherically.
Spherically, defilu ma'ale retichot bekli sheni ke'ein shahaya bekli rishon eino mevashel. Deklal gadol hu dekli sheni eino mevashel b'shum panim.
Wow. Right. That klal comes back down. Comes down. Kli Rishon, we're expansive. Kli Sheni, he shuts it down. Because of the klal.
It almost makes cooking into like a legal construct, because clearly you put something into a kli sheni and it's boiling, it's going to cook.
So again, all I would say now is that we don't know how reliably it is that it cooks.
Yeah, would you eat a piece of meat? Would you boil up? Would you put hot water into a teacup and then drop a piece of meat in it and then wait 10 minutes and eat it? I mean, I guess people eat raw meat, but chicken maybe you wouldn't eat. In other words, is it really cooked? Is that really called cooked?
So this one, I say it's not reliable that it might happen, but
there is such a thing as kale bishul. Certain things might cook, like spices or something, very thin thing.
So that's the problem with tea on Shabbos. Kali bishul, but that's for another time. Okay. So kol gadol hu the kli sheni mevashel b'shum panim. Keep on going. Dimlo kain.
Dimlo kain havale letalmud alistom v'lomar kli sheni eino mevashel. אבל קשה על זה שכתב רבינו לקמן בסמוך על דברי הרשב"א, בכלי שני אוסר כולו עם היד סולדת בו.
Okay, so we have two ways of doing it, right? Are we going to take Kli Sheni? I'm sorry, we're going to take Yad Solodet Bo as a firm indication of cooking, and there, or are we saying that no, it's not on its own. It's not firm when it's in reference to a Kli Sheni. Two ways of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
So what's he going to say?
לקח נראה דרבנו החמיירי בין בכלי ראשון בין בכלי שני דכל שהיד סולדת בו אסור, שאף על פי שאינו מבשל, מבליע ומפליץ. So he says that it's yad solodet bo because even though in kli sheni it's not cooking, the flavors are still being absorbed and extruded, I guess.
So this is actually why I cheated when I said what cooking is, was basically this end. Although he says there's bishul, and then there's something that's just like bishul or impacts the same way that bishul is, which when you have pleta, Deah, and pleta. But it's more or less a definition of cooking.
Right. He's like almost semantics here, because
right.
in the end, that is, if that's what cooking is, then there is cooking. He's saying, oh, it's true, there's no cooking in a cliché, but there is this thing called blia uplita, which is enough to forbid things. So it comes out being hainu hach.
Right.
Joel.
Right.
But it makes no chiluk between Hilchot Shabbos and Hilchot Isser V'Heter at this point, right? Because for Hilchot Shabbos, Pleta and Blia is not enough, because we say Kli Sheni isn't cooking, except for things that are Kali Bishul. And for the case of Isser V'Heter, the truth, well, all we've really cared about for Isser V'Heter has been Ta'am at the end of the day. Or not only, but
and remember, he said it's a dohak to say that the laws are different by Shabbos and here. So it's still a play on, it's still a little bit of semantics. He's saying, yes, bishul is the same, but this is not bishul.
Kali bishul is an extreme situation. There has to be some wiggle room in terms of difference somewhere. So I think Kali bishul is the wiggle room, but he wants to preserve the klalim, and therefore the equality of the two. Ori?
Well, he's preserving the term bishul between the two. It's not the same din in both cases because we're testing different things, right? If we can test some flavor transfer with the cliché, but let's call bishul bishul so that it means the same thing in both cases. Even one case might be usher, one case might be mutter. I don't know if there's a case like that, but the point is that there may be different details, but we're keeping bishul to mean bishul.
What's bishul outside of pleta and you're saying bishul?
It's
Can't make basar b'chalav. It might be that would be a difference.
Basar b'chalav is immediately usher.
No, but in a cliché, I think it comes out that if you put a hot milk in a second cup and then put meat in it, it wouldn't be bishul. It wouldn't be called bishul. Of course, the meat you couldn't eat because it has a pleta or blia, but you wouldn't be doing the isser of mevashel basar b'chalav, because it's not called bishul basar b'chalav because it's in a cliché.
No, it's true that here he's making a parallel. He says it's not. Well, he says it's not bishul, but it is blia and pleta.
Exactly. So whether it's Shabbos,
I was just trying to explore how close are they? They're close, but they're not identical.
They're not identical because I think I got the example.
But now I have a problem for you. What about
on Shabbos? Also, if you put a piece of meat in a hot water, it wouldn't be called bishul. It wouldn't be over Shabbos.
Okay, got you.
I would say that
Ori, yeah.
Well, I was going to push Rav Nachum now in a funny way that if we put now tell me if there's plita or blia when we put the basar and chalav for a day in cold, we know it's not kivush. We made a raya from it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's also not. It's also not also doing
blia, but it's no isser. There's no bishul. In the kivush
yeah, for
case,
sure.
for sure,
you can't eat it because it's blia maybe, but it's not bishul.
But there's no isser of having the taste of basar and chalav mixed coldly. There's only an isser of bishul.
No, there is the rabbanan.
Okay.
You can't have cold. You can't eat a cold cheese sandwich with meat.
It's a drabanan.
The point is, it's not bishul.
Oh yeah,
it's not.
It's just eating it together, not cooked together, but eating it together.
They would be mixed together, and you'd be eating it together. The flavors would have been mixed, but it wouldn't be called bishul. You wouldn't be over the isser deraita of bishul of bishul.
Right. But for sure, derabanan.
For sure, derabanan, you couldn't eat it. Yeah.
However, this is. I want to end this piece. What's very good. Oh, Joel has something. Joel, what do you have? Go ahead.
It's okay for another time.
It's okay. But the introduction of pleta and blia as being parallel in its negativity, wherever its impact, parallel its impact to bishul, is because that's one, as I didn't say this before, that's a major aspect of bishul, is that aspect. And therefore, that's why kavush is like bishul. If you're able to be kavesh, then it really happens this way. And that's it. Remember the comparison to Basar Chalav, it's a chiddush, and therefore you can't make that comparison. I didn't come up with that term that it's a chiddush. We just did that. So what you have here is, I think, at one level, you have this tremendous struggle to have a halacha terminology that's works, that's real enough, that also impacts on a social reality. Hey, is it cooking? No, it's not cooking. It's off. Oh, it's still steaming. Well, it's still cooking. It works on the social reality as well, and also gives us a more sophisticated understanding of kavush, in terms of belia and plita, which makes it akin. So therefore, it's like kia bishul. It's not bishul. It's kia bishul because it impacts the same way. All right, we can do a little bit more. So now we have I need to read the Kosav Rashba. So, Joe, can I ask you to do that because we're at the end?
Yeah, in the tour, Rav Linus?
In the tour first, yeah.
כתב הרשב"א, יש אומרים שאין מפליט אלא חום של כלי ראשון, שהוא מבשל, אבל כלי שני וכן עירוי שהוא ככלי שני אינו מפליט. So the Rashba says some people, not the Rashba, say that you don't, in a kli sheni, the heat of a kli sheni doesn't, only kli rishon heat causes flavor transfer, but kli sheni doesn't, and same thing with pouring from kli rishon into a kli sheni, that would be like a kli sheni, and that would not be maflit. V'no lo nehira, that doesn't make any sense, doesn't seem clear to me. Sharei chom shel beit hashchita v'chom chelev haksalim maflit shem pechutim mikli sheni. But we know, like, when you shecht an animal, there's some worry that there's some flavor transfer from the heat of the neck of the animal, and same thing with when you remove the chelev from the salim, and those are not that hot. They're less than a kli sheni. So how could that be? Ela kol chom shal yidei ha'esh maflit afilu ena yetzaletipo adkan. So he says, no, it's any heat when it's directly on the fire doesn't need to be yetzaletipo, and by implication, if it is yetzaletipo but not on the fire, it does cook no matter what kind of kli it is.
This is a big. So what's the chiddush here?
The chiddush is that yad nichbet bo or yetzaletipo, assuming they're the same, is no matter what kind of kli it's in, that cooks. And also less than that cooks on a kli rishon if it's still on the fire.
So yad saledispo is not just an indication, but it's like a definition almost.
Mm-hmm. So
how hot? This is how hot it is. Okay, very good. So let's go to the Beis Yosef. We're skipping you, right? Go to the Beis Yosef.
Beis Yosef. All right. I'm going to skip reading all of it because I read it just now, and go to Divrei Rashba.
Right. So where is that?
It's after all that's bolded for me, and then it says Elik Kidei Klipa v'chule, and then Divrei Rashba. Yeah. Hem betorata ba'it hakatzar, ba'it daled shar aleph, uvemet sheyesh litmol al Rabbeinu bidvarim ha'elu shekatav dekatav de'efshar shirotze lamar decham l'tocham eino oser elik kidei klipa. Right. It sounds like this is a little shocking because we have a rule that cham l'tol cham is completely oser, and it sounds like he's only saying it's kidei klipa. This is what he's talking about.
Wait, is he upset because of the klal, or he's upset because?
Oh, he's upset about the way the Torah
doesn't fit into the system so well.
I'm sorry. You know what? I should read more in the Torah. He's upset.
You have to read. Yeah, read more.
He's upset at the Torah. So I want to go back. The Torah says, "V'nreli she'ena nidon domeh l'raya." Right? She'en chom beit hashchita v'chom chelev haksalim maflit el k'dei klipa. Right? Right. So he says that proof doesn't seem right because the heat of the chelev haksalim and the heat of the shchita is only enough to do k'dei klipa. Aval levliya b'chol heter Lo chashuv chom, but it's not considered hot enough to actually be completely penetrative. I don't know what the word is, to go completely into the object. Elim ken hayatzu letipo. And then he says, Vefshar shurot selomar. Well, maybe here's what the Rashba means. Dechom letochom eno oser gam ken ele kedei klipa. V'chein ra'iti liksatem mechabrim. So maybe what the Rashba means is that it's only oser when you have a hot thing into another hot thing. That only works kedei klipa, just like the Beit Shchita, and that's what I've seen in some books. Ve'eno ken, he says, but that's not true in the halachic reality. Elo oser kulo imayad solidbo. He says I disagree based on the Gemara and Avodah Zarah, I think. So. All right, now we can get back to the Beit Yosef.
Okay, Divrei right did that. Okay.
Yeah. So and V'yeshli Tmo Rabbeinu b'dvarim ha'ilai. I'm shocked at the way the Torah reads this. Shekatav Yashar Shurot Selamar. He says maybe what the Rashba means is dechom lechotochom eino oser ele kedei klipa. Maybe hot into hot is only kedei klipa. Ulekam b'siman zeh katav Deah midivrei Rashba. So shesover dechom aydei maliach oser hakol. He says later he seems to understand the Rashba saying that the heat, that the so-called heat through salting, through extreme salting, is completely oser. Ulfizeh, I love this line. Yetziva ba'ara v'giyura b'shmei shemaya. The citizen is sitting on the earth and the ger is sitting in the shemayim. There's things, you got things backwards. Ve'od the belav hachi. If Marken, even without that, you can't say this, right? Medamrinan beperak ketzad solin for psachim bechom tochom v'chein otz ptachim v'chein tzonen letoch acham cham letocham v'chein tzonen letocham asur, right? V'cham letoch sonen amrinan kolef, right? Because that's the whole thing, the debate between Rav and Shmuel there of Ilad Gavar or Tata Gavar, and we say that if it's chom letoch sonen, it's klipa, which means that chom b'tol chom, when it's asur, it must be completely asur. It can't be kedei klipa.
Okay, so what upsets him?
He's trying to understand the Rashba against the Rashba here. He's confused by the Rashba's whole thing about the klisheni cooking at higher than yad nichvet when it's more than yad nichvet bo. And he tries to understand it's kedei klipa, and he says that can't be the case because, and he's talking about a chom letochom, because the Rashba, we know he's oser bakol there, and the Gemara is oser bakol. So, like, what are you doing? Bilvad chom letocham lesor kedei klipa bilvad. So it's only if it's sonen letoch. Sorry, I messed with al korchin. There we go. Al korchin. Therefore, efshar. We must be say the following: efshar lamar desur de'amrinan gabi cham letocham otzanen letocham lesor kedei klipa bilvad amru. Right? You can't say that that's only kedei klipa because the Gemara said it's not. Dim ken dinam shaveh ledin cham letoch sonen. Right? Then it'd be the same thing as cham letoch sonen. Uvumay iflaku Rav Shmuel. So what are Rav and Shmuel arguing about? If they all think everything's kedei klipa, it doesn't matter what's on the top thing, what's the bottom thing, what's hot, what's cold. Hatam ila agavar itata agavar, whether the top thing dominates or the bottom thing dominates. So, v'zeh davar shafilu bar beirav dechad yoma loit. I love this too. Loit ebo. Even the first year yeshiva student wouldn't make the mistake in something like this. Kol shiget harashba, all the more so the Rashba.
Shehu Orosh Shalom.
Yeah, Shehu Orosh Shalom. I mean, the Rashba, he's the light of the world. Ve'afal pisha katav shira'aken liksat mechabrim. Even though the Torah said, I saw some other books that said this. Ein hadat sovelet. Right, this is not possible to bear this. Shira'a l'shum echad me'achabrim decham letocham otzonen letocham b'klipa sage. He must have misread these books. There's no way there's a real book out there that says when you have cham letocham or tzonen letocham, it's just kedei klipa.
But now he says something interesting on top of this.
Afal pi sharan katav shara'a sover de tzonen letocham ino oser el kedei nitilat makom. So he now says the Ran brings us the Ra'ah that he thinks that maybe tzonen letocham is actually not oser bakol, but rather netilat makom, which is more than kedei klipa.
Which is more than the kedei klipa. So in other words, it's a partial acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm. But not mikol makom. He says becham letocham lo amar right? But he didn't say that. The Rad didn't say that about Cham Latocham. He said about Sonen Latocham. So
Now
even
he's
then,
an argument from absence.
exactly. Umashma de modeh vaday de chulu asur, and so it must be that he does that. Even the Ra'ah thinks Cham Latocham is everything is asur.
The more somebody says vadai, the more you know that it's a leap.
Yes, yeah, it's
Because it's argument from absence that he doesn't mention it, so it must be that it's usher kulo. That filo.
That feel but sonen latocham lo itir ela b'nei tatalat makom shehu yoter mikdei klipa, and even in his lenient case, it's more than kedei klipa. It's still netilat makom. Ve'od, how am I doing? Ve'od she'arashba katav be'oto sha'ar atzmo lekaman nafal chol matoch sonen eno oser lekedei klipa. V'im nafal sonen latocham hakol asur. Right? In the Rashba, if you keep reading the Rashba, you'll actually, in the same shar, in the same section, he says that Cham that Eve Sonen Latocham and Cham Latocham is Oser Bakol. So,
by the way, one of the things we see is that he responds to the Rashba like a commentary. If you read this, well, there's a problem, but read further on, he solves it.
Yeah.
But this way he gets rid of all these other Machabri.
Okay,
Okay,
I assume that some of them probably didn't have the actual Rashba in front of them, I'm going to guess. But
yeah, okay. Rav Shevi.
Yeah, where did I Nafal Kol Rav Shevi Rabbeinu Mechuvanim Rurim Hem Sherei Lo Katav Shekol Chom Shel Deah Esh Afil Ein Hayad Zolet Bo Mevashel Ki Echi Denishma Minei De'afal Gav Mevashel Eno Oser El Kedei Klipa Elo Lomar Shehu Maflit Kol Kach Latzrichol Klipa V'chein Katav Befirush B'Torat Habayit HaAroch. All right, but okay, this is the Rashba now, Rabbeinu, I think.
Right.
Yeah, they are they're good. They're mechuvanim, they're straight, they're clear. That he's not saying that every heat on the fire, even if there's no if it's not yad salepo is mashel, like we understand from him that even though it's mashel, it's not oser maybe, except for kedei klipa. It only is oser kedei klipa. Right, but that's not what he's saying. What he's saying is it's so maflit that it does require klipa. We're going to get more from this. This is v'chein katav b'furush b'Torat Habayit HaAroch in his longer version. Yesh mina chachamim harishonim shamru she'ein ra'ui le'aflitu lavli ela kedei kli rishon dekli sheni eno mevashel v'chein irui dekli rishon v'chol she'eno mevashel eno maflitu mavliya.
So the halachic rules, he's doubling down on the halachic rules.
But
Kli Rishon does such and such, Kli Sheni does such and such, or doesn't do such and such.
Doesn't do such and such, yeah. So
just do one more thing. Im kain
heter shenafal toch isur shebechli sheni eno bolea. Right, so if you have a heter that falls into an isur and klisheni, it doesn't give any flavor or doesn't absorb any flavor.
And he really gives him once you have that, he gives him the knife. So sonane falls in. It falls into sonane. All right, hadacha, just wipe it off. Forget even kedei klipa.
But so in klisheni, it's only kedei klipa, even if it's cham latocham. So. Right. But ve'afilu shnehem chamim, even if they're both chamim, ve'eluvrim she'ein hadad sovatan ve'ein pashtan shel sugyot shebegamara maskimim mahem. He says, but this actually makes no sense. Sharei b'shochet b'sakin shel goyim.
Okay, so now that we'll stop here.
Okay, we'll stop there. So
because we should bring that up next time. Okay, we're going to take it up next time from here. We'll do a little review of what happened before to put it together. And we should go to Hey Aleph at least. Okay. Thank you very much.
Shikoch, thank you, Rav.
Shikoch, thank you.
Thank you. See you next time.